Once upon a time, long, long ago, there was a little diff that was born, and he was a happy little diff, and his first owner used to take him out for a drive and really looked after him, and they enjoyed each other's company and it never had a problem. But over the years he had many different owners, and in the end he ended up with an owner that really didn't care, and then shortly after that he ended up in a bit of a state. Here he is now. And then one day the mad diff doctor came along and he said, you know what, you've still got a bit of life left in you, mate, and we're going to sort you out and make you something special. And the little diff was really excited. So the mad diff doctor took the little diff apart to try and make him better again. I know I need to get out more and I need to increase my meds probably. And we took him to the cleaning company and he came back all nice and shiny and all nice and clean inside. And we thought, we've got a little plan for you that you can live again. And it came to pass that he became a peg diff, but a very special peg diff. Hello and welcome to XS4. Before we have a little announcement today. We're on peg casing number 800. But that's not the end of the video. Jokes aside, it is really amazing that we've now on our 800th peg case. In actual fact, we've surpassed that now. We're on about 808, but we've been waiting for this one because we've come up with a new diff idea. This is the first of 10 prototypes we have in the autopsy bench. This is a late metric casing, and these have the biggest head bearing that is available on any Land Rover case. Unfortunately, on the pinion it has a very small bearing which is called a tail bearing. I'm holding a Timken tail bearing here, and there are two distinct weak spots with all diffs, but particularly Land Rover. The first is the tail bearing and the second is the dust shield on the pinion seal. We've sorted out the seal problem. We used the later Puma type seal, and we've got our lovely little super flange that fits inside the casing, and we move the seal backwards. But now we've come up with something that's going to make a vast difference. So rather than just tell you what we've done, we thought we'd show you what we've done so you can actually see why this is going to add a massive amount of strength to what is our already strong peg case. Here we have a Ashcroft heavy duty pinion, and on it we have a new head bearing pressed on. Now what would happen here is at the other end, where the dry flange, the prop shaft attaches to, is up here, you have the tail bearing, and tail bearing looks like that. If you're having one of our special ultra builds, you'll have one of our little oil veins to keep the oil up on the pinion, then you'd have a seal on top, and then you'd have your dry flange, and then you set the preload with shims. Now what we've done is we've decided that we can fit a much bigger bearing, one of them. So looking at this pinion, you've got the head bearing on the left hand side, you've got the tail bearing on the right hand side, both are standard Land Rover. 539706 for the head, 539707 for the tail. Or you could have our super big bearing conversion, which we've managed to work out that we can fit it. And as you can see, a huge bearing on the pinion now. It's not far off the size of the head bearing. This will offer huge amounts of strength and support to a Land Rover diff, and sorts out another problem, which is early pinion bearing failure. We'll be putting these on the website. They're not for sale as in a diff you can just buy and build yourself. We will only do these on customer builds. So here is the race from the standard Land Rover bearing, and here is the race from the one that we've converted it to. So actually if you put the races together, they are significantly larger. There's the inside of the standard Land Rover tail bearing, and here's the bearing that we've modified to fit. Again, if we put the two together, you'll see there's a huge difference in size, and this is going to add a massive amount of strength as this holds the pinion in place and stops it breaking up. And this is one of the main failure points of a lot of diffs, including Land Rover. Pinion bearings are too small. So this little monster fits because we've modified the casing. So what we've done now is we've counterbored two different bore sizes. This one here goes down, this fits where the new bearing fits in, so that's going to have that enormous race pressed into it. But we also wanted to keep using the standard Land Rover dry flange. So what we've done is we've created an adapter. The adapter is pressed into the top here, and that adapter then has the seal, which is a standard Land Rover seal, pressed into it, and then on top of that we can put our super flange. So that little assembly allows you to have a huge bearing at each end of the pinion. We've now got the casing all cleaned up. This is for me. The last time I tried to have a casing for me, because mine desperately needs a new locker in the rear, someone called Paul Dart came along and nicked the casing for his build. So this is mine. It's going in my truck, and it's all nicely painted up, and it is number 800. So this is having a nice little ash locker put in it, with of course our conversion on the front end. Unfortunately, although we had the machine, we haven't had a machine quite right. We had these taken down to be the same overall length as the 24 spline square ones, which we don't like using, and we knew that because we use the 4 spline square ones on all the series big bearing builds, and so we've actually had to put a really early series spacer in there. So we're going to get these remachined to a perfect length for future builds, but this is only mine, so it doesn't really matter. We're putting an ash locker in, tab locked. It's only silver because I got some bits off Ashcroft and they hadn't been to the chemical blackers. So we're going to shove this into our super big bearing XS peg case. So we've got the big bearing race in, and we've got our seal adapter in, and now we're going to put the head bearing in, the big one. And we've got the seal in and recess to take our super flange. So now we'll assemble a pinion assembly. And with all our calculations, the super flange fits on perfectly. I don't think we could get any closer to the casing if we tried. So we've got the Puma flange converted to fit, and it's all going together very nicely. And there we are. One prototype, number 1, XS 4x4. Super big bearing peg casing. These will be available off the web shop when we reopen. This one is going in my truck, come what may. I think we can say without any shadow of a doubt that this offers a significant strength increase and is most likely the strongest Land Rover diff you can possibly buy. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
Yeah.